Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's your girl Ray P, and we are back for another episode of We Got Y'all. And of course, it's not just me. I am joined by the one and only, my ace, my road dog, Frat. Holy, my dog, Kyron, aka K Rich, or Rich to y'all. What's going on?
Hey, not too much, man. Always a pleasure to be here with you. Good morning to you, or afternoon, depending on when you listen. But specifically, good morning to you, Rachel.
For sure.
Yeah, man. Oh six to the good brothers, man. We just had Founders Day this past week, so yeah. And you got the pink on, so it makes sense.
I know I was feeling it. I'm in the Greek spirit today.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. It makes sense. Like I said, excited to be here with you this morning.
For sure.
Talk about rap shit.
Always.
Episode 6, U turn.
You
You
turn.
know, yeah, definitely a U-turn as far as what we see going on in their lives.
For sure. For
That quick
sure.
back to reality shit. So I
I
know
was
that. Go ahead, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say and just start off that I was right about us not finishing the tour. So I'm gonna let you go.
100%. Yeah, and I figured that was gonna happen just because if Lord AK is your headliner,
For
Rain or
sure.
Rain ain't about to be your headliner. Nobody's gonna see that.
That
Um,
part.
and plus, nobody probably knows how to respond to it. You have to take the especially in 2023, how insensitive you might look as a corporation or promoter and team to continue
Absolutely.
with tour when somebody, how they always say, man, take that PTO because something happens to you, they're gonna keep going about their life and doing their shit.
Absolutely.
But yeah, before we get into the details of this week, this episode was directed by Aniobi, excuse me, written by Kid Fury, Issa Rae, and Elise Job. Stars Ada Osman, Chameleon, and Jonica Booth as your main stars. Want to give a shout out to RJ Seiler, who plays Lamont.
Yeah.
Did a really good job. I should have looked up the gentleman who plays Maurice as well. I'll make sure I get his name in before we end this episode. But just having them kind of back in the fold because we are back in Miami and back to the day to day.
Mhm.
I think they both did some pretty good job. Excuse me, not pretty good job. They had some great performances, and they're going to play a role into what's going on, obviously, for the rest of the season with these two ladies. And we can get right into it, man. I'm curious to know what your opening thoughts were about this week's episode.
I loved it. Because the thing is when a tour ends or when you have to get back to the real world, one, the real world does not stop because you're doing some other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um Shauna's roommate rented out her room. We already know that they hate her anyways over there. Lamont has fallen into a groove with Melissa. When Mia first went off on tour, he was struggling, but they've worked it out. They got their own game that Mia does not fit into. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Life is rolling. The girls got kicked off the host stroll. Duke has to come and rectify that. Like, shit just keeps moving, even if you're off doing something else, and you have to find your way to fold yourself back into that or get yourself back into the fold, even if that means rectifying some things. Shout out to the Duke, despite getting her ass kicked this episode. But
That's whooped.
I liked it. I think that I already said that I was right on the predictions. Again, we knew that we weren't going to finish the tour. I think we both said that Lamont was doing some things with homegirl.
Mm-hmm.
Is her name Tiffany, or did I make that up?
I believe it is Tiffany or
Okay.
Melissa. No, Melissa's daughter. Yeah, I think it's Tiffany. I'll
Okay.
fact check that for you.
Yeah. So we knew that he was going to be salty with Mia because she was in fact playing in his face in LA. Not only does life keep life in, but you have to deal with the repercussions of your actions. You know what I'm saying? Um,
100%.
we see Shauna and Maurice reconnect. I like that because again, and I've said it multiple times on this show, I liked Shauna and Maurice's chemistry. I liked what they had going on. And I think, scamming aside, had she not have had a boyfriend the bulk of season one, I think that they could have definitely been together longer, or we could have seen more of what, dare I say, could have been, because I think they might be on ice after the events of tonight's or this week's episode. What about you?
Everything you said was right on brand. It was everything that I was going to point out and mention. Just that element of being back home
Mhm.
and getting back to the shit, like you said. This we're back at it. Interesting how all these. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with it. Now, in a place where I'm so comfortable and familiar, now I have to figure out how to like work my way back into this puzzle. Like
Yeah.
I've been going for it, and it made a mention. It wasn't long enough for her celebration balloons to deflate, but things have still been going on. Like you said, life moves. Like that's one of the most interesting things when I travel.
Mhm.
When I leave, I'm always like, "Yo, tomorrow, people still gonna be moving and shaking and all that stuff, whether I'm here or not." That's
Yeah.
just the reality of life. So when you have to implement yourself back into your comfort zone, that's supposed to be a comfort zone. You shouldn't have to do that. That's just naturally happens.
Mhm.
Um, but also to your point, for someone like Mia, I have to acknowledge, and I do appreciate the accountability that she showed, at least from the sense of I know I fucked up. I know I was moving messy. I know I was doing this and that. Even though she didn't verbally say anything to Lamont, because I think they just have that kind of relationship. She knows that I'm just I know I fucked up, so let me be nice to spark conversation. Lamont ain't fucking with him. I mean, fucking with her, and I'm sure she thinks that all right, then let me give him some time to cool off. I'm very curious, and I thought Melissa was gonna say something
Mhm.
about him, and I couldn't find her name. I thought she was gonna say something about Lamont and his new thing. So kids tell it.
Kids will definitely tell it. So I think that that's potentially something to look forward to in episode 7, because Mia definitely finds out in the next 2 episodes.
She
And
has to.
I'm inclined to think that it's next week, and we see that blow up. And even if it doesn't come from Melissa, maybe she goes to get Melissa and homegirl is over there, having a play date with Lulu. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it'll definitely come to a head. And I guess we can start with Lamont and
Well,
homegirl.
yeah, we can get into it real quick. I do want to just mention, give a shout out to the show. The openings, the
Yeah,
cold opens have been great. The you know
absolutely.
the toxic masculinity style podcast that they open up with, and Tupac
Right.
would have survived, and niggas is soft. Nigga his full body's on fire. They call him soft. That's crazy. Just all of that stuff, the Illuminati references, just stuff you see when people just grab these microphones and start talking. Um, I just thought that was a great parody on what we see in 2023. But
Hey,
let's.
you can't spell Illuminati without lit.
This episode had a lot of dark sense of humor, which is right up my alley.
For
And I
sure.
know we'll talk about it later on. But yeah, you said let's get into Lamont.
Yeah. So I wrote down Tiffany, and again, I don't know if that is actually her name. Hopefully it is, and I didn't just make that up. But they kicking it. It's not just play dates. The kids ain't around. They fucking around. And I like that she has a conversation many women have who venture off into these baby daddy murky waters. Is your baby mama crazy? Are y'all still fucking around? Is she gonna be mad to know that you are dealing with me? These are all questions that need answers.
Can I ask you real quick? Where do we know her from? Like, what is her role? Is she the mother of one of
She's
Melissa's
Lulu's mom.
friends? Right, but is that's what we just know her as, right? That's she's not
Yeah,
supposed to be
she
something
wasn't,
more or not a past thing. Okay, just
as far as we know so far.
okay.
As
All
far
right, so
as we
Mia
know
doesn't
so
really
far.
know her. It's just
Now, see, I said as far as we know so far.
yeah.
I do think if we call back, maybe it was episode 4 where we first see she and Lulu on the play date with Lamont and Melissa
On FaceTime.
on FaceTime. I think that maybe there was some previous back and forth or a little something something, because Mia was being a little shady, but I couldn't tell yet if that was just typical she ain't got no, she her daddy couldn't bring her, like what the fuck. So I don't know if maybe she knew that she liked Lamont, or if she and Lamont had a brief little thinging at some point in the past. I don't know if it was a little bit of that or just general shade, like why you with this bitch, just in general, just because
I think it's that. I think she's just Melissa got a friend. Her mama, her mama look like competition. I don't like it. I think
Yeah,
it's just simple as that. Like you said, it is. She's well within her rights to see, what's going on. Do Mia know? Not necessarily that she has to know. You have to broadcast it, but I want to know what's going on just in case. I don't want it to be a situation where I think it's one way and it's really the other.
it's really the other. Yeah, and I'm very much of
And
the of only saying what needs to be said, what absolutely needs to
exactly.
be said when it needs to be said.
Because yeah, she don't owe that. I mean, excuse me, Lamont doesn't owe that to Mia. We don't have to, because Mia damn sure ain't doing it for him. And we had a conversation about this. Remember when I asked when she was when she was in the studio with Courtney Love, and I asked like, is this something that she should be mentioning to Lamont? And it goes right into this conversation we're having now. Like, nigga, why?
Okay, and I might get killed on the double standard here. Here is
Ooh.
I can keep my business to myself. No, I'm just playing. No, here is the only place where that gets murky for me. Courtney's not around Mia.
Melissa.
I mean Melissa.
Okay, okay.
That's the only difference. You're not
Mhm.
around my child. You're likely never going to meet her. And so, because I know that she already knows her and has some sort of relationship or connection with her, now I might need to know that just because my child is involved. Is she going to be going over there with y'all? Like, or are y'all's play dates just at the house or just in the park? You know what I'm saying? So that's the
Mhm.
only place for me where I'd be like, or maybe even not right now while it's fresh. But if you feel like this what you about to be doing, yeah, give me a heads up just because you got this nigga around my daughter. And maybe we just need to get an understanding. That's the only
Yeah.
place. But I do believe you only need to say what you need to say, what you absolutely need to say while it's still early.
No, that's a hell of a point, Rachel. You're absolutely right. Kids involved changes everything as far as
Mhm,
communication goes.
mhm.
I will say that Lamont should have gotten in front of it. Um,
It's
I
still
know
early.
that, yeah, it's still early, and he's probably still trying to figure out what even is going on. It
Mhm.
seems like something that wasn't really planned. I don't think Lamont was on some let me get at her because we saw he was just ready to get on the flight, go
Yeah.
holler at Mia. Yes, they cool because he said it like I wasn't expecting that. Where did this come from? So it wasn't like it's on something like he's waiting for Mia for invites because he's so madly in love with her. But there's
Mhm.
still something there, and if something can be made of it, then maybe it's something to explore.
For
Even though you
sure.
already played me with Cash, now you did it again. Now I'm really done with
Mhm.
you, which we
Mhm.
saw when he came to pick up Melissa. Like, man, get the
Mhm.
fuck out my face. Like small
Yeah.
talk, I ain't got nothing for it. I'm giving you the most bare responses,
Mhm.
and we mentioned it earlier. Mia knew she had to take that on the chin because I did spin you, I did play you,
Right.
and I personally enjoy a chance to be just a tad bit petty. Nothing that's really going to be over the top, but just a little moment where I can just get you a look like, oh man, that must y'all both got that in common, or whatever the comment he was about going back and forth.
Bruh.
I just want you to know that I ain't forgot about the bullshit you just pulled. So I'm a little offended that you're sitting here talking to me like you didn't pull no bullshit.
She has to.
Yeah,
That's
of
in that woman
course.
code of conduct. She gotta play it cool. Eventually, for real, especially if she wants she and Lamont's relationship, not necessarily to get back to them fucking around or even get back together, but in order for them to get back to being even cool, she owes him an apology.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
Because
the
then it's just going to turn into that. It's going to turn into me picking up Melissa and not disregard you. Skirt, skirt. Pow, pow, pow. You trying to join in our shit? Like, get up.
right,
And Melissa was like, "Look, can we go, Dad?"
right.
You fucking up everything. Like I said, we had our thing while you was gone. Now you trying to
Mhm,
implement yourself back.
mhm.
That's just silly. But you're absolutely right. She has to just for them to be civil.
That part.
I don't care if you mess with them or not. You can't have a contentious relationship.
That part.
I'm
That
not
part.
saying you can't, but it's not healthy to have that. You should at least be able to communicate about X, Y, and Z.
For sure. And I thought it was dope. And I know that I'm jumping around, but just because we're talking about Lamont, even for Mia's mother to say, you know what, your daddy threw money around, but he didn't help. I damn sure didn't have a Lamont. Lamont is a good ass dad. You know what I'm saying? He
Mm-hmm.
didn't have no money for real, But as far as time, as far as being active where he can, like, he ain't no slouch. And there's a lot of niggas who ain't doing what Lamont does. So shout
You're
out to him
absolutely
again
you're,
for that.
you're absolutely right. I respect and appreciate Lamont because he is um, the embodiment of something that a lot of, and I'm only going to say men because if you want to look at gender roles, just a typical thing of providing, and the role that men play in that society.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is looked at financially. How can I provide financially? And if we're not providing financially, it hits us in a different
Yeah.
way. We take that personally. You go through your bouts of depression or whatever, but it's never really looked at as a whole as, all right, what else can I provide? Can I
Mm-hmm.
provide something emotionally, spiritually? Can I be the best dad I can be
Sure.
in other ways?
For
And
sure.
instead of thinking like, all right, I ain't got no bread, he amplifies the other ways that he can be a great father.
Mm-hmm.
Giving my time, giving her my love, all types of things. So
Mm-hmm.
to your point, that's not something that's really thought of. Is you think lesser than when you're not giving the money like you think you should.
Yeah.
But he's still a great dad because he knows how to step up in other ways. So
Mm-hmm.
big
Yeah.
shout out to Lamont. I'm a big fan of Lamont.
I
Um,
love Lamont. I
and I
love.
will, and I like that we're getting some more of Lamont without necessarily being tied directly into Mia.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's cool to see what Lamont's got going on.
Yeah.
And I want him to make it. I'm rooting for him just like I am Shawna and Mia.
For sure. For sure.
Um, did you want to talk about? Well, we got to talk about a couple other things with Mia and her homegirls. But real quick, her mom.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on it. The conversation she had when she went to the bar. First of all, yeah, mama fine.
As hell.
She cold. She cold. And she had a Ray P line this episode. You know she had a Ray P line this episode. Tell your daddy I said hello twice. He's still fine.
I love a good daddy.
That's, oh man, but just
Yeah.
their bond, just that relationship is one that is very interesting to watch.
Mhm.
Even going back to season one, and Mia realizing she was a mom. Well, that's another thing about going on tour. I didn't have the day-to-day mom duties. I was
Mhm.
FaceTiming and that's it. Like I got a break, and I know
Yeah.
it shouldn't be frowned upon to look at it from that sense. I got a break from being a mom. Now
Mhm.
I'm back. Now I'm in the cramped ass kitchen with the bacon and the eggs. I called my mom because I realized, y'all still going happy hour. Like I need
I need a
getting
break.
back into the swing of this. Yeah, getting
Mm.
back to the swing of this is a little bit tougher than I thought. And we just see two different versions of how life should be lived.
Yeah.
And what her mom said wasn't bad advice. I kind of found myself in the middle where you got to make the best of what you got. You can easily look over and realize that the next person doesn't have as much, or what's the famous quote? I once complained about having no shoes until I met a man who had no feet.
No feet. Yeah.
That's just kind of how life is.
Mhm.
But also, you shouldn't get complacent in that space either. You should also have goals and want to be on a grind for something. And I think if you can find that middle ground of being thankful and blessed, but also saying this isn't enough, I know there's more out there for me, and I claim that,
Yeah.
then that's good. And I think she needed that balance from her mom. Just like, look, also, it goes into the point you said, I didn't have this, I didn't have a mom. I couldn't just pick up and take trips.
Mhm.
So I'm telling you, as somebody who doesn't have that, and I'm now having an opportunity to be out here living my life, yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna make sure I look for somebody who's gonna take care of me. Because shit, I deserve it. I spent my younger years grinding and making sure you was good. I didn't do anything for myself. I ain't
Mhm.
have it like that. So shit, now I'm looking for somebody to take care of me. Where the sugar daddies at, as women like to say.
Me.
I didn't want to say you directly, but you said it. You know what I mean?
I said it the other day, as a matter of fact. But yeah, no, I actually really, really like this whole conversation with Mia and her mother. Number one, we've seen them have a semi-contentious relationship. And this is, dare I say, the first time where they're not arguing. Nobody is truly, truly offended. And even though they
Mm-hmm.
both had places where they could have been, or even there was a slight bit of offense, it didn't go left. where we've seen
Right.
it go left. Nobody stormed off. Like they were able to come to a place of understanding. And I think that Mia is finally starting to see, or maybe this conversation is the turning point of sometimes like you just do the best you can with what you got. No, you didn't love everything about your mom. Yes, we've seen her, dare I say, struggle with alcohol in this season, and Mia made mention of it in season 1. Everybody got their shit. But once you realize and you look at your parents with they doing the best they can, even if it's not enough,
Mm-hmm.
you know that it's your job to take it a step further and to do more
Mm-hmm.
with your child or children so that you're not repeating that cycle. And so I just really, really like that. And Mia was complaining like at the table. And yes, I understand being disappointed, but also she's speaking from a place of privilege, even though she doesn't have it. As to which her mother was like, bitch, I have none of that. I couldn't do
Right.
any of what you're doing. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
have any help, not for real, other than financially. And again, we know that Mia's father was in jail for a good bit of her life. So that help stopped at some point. So
Mm-hmm.
she really had to thug it out. Is that great? No. Did Mia necessarily get everything that she needed? No. But
Mm-hmm.
now as an adult, I think when you start to look at your parents through adult eyes versus the eyes of
Yeah,
the
you
little
look at it.
child, it's just different. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, you fried, but here.
Mm-hmm. I
Mhm.
was I was just having this conversation with my mom for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving about getting to know the human
Yeah.
version of your parents versus the
Mhm.
mom dad version of your parents. Like these are
Mhm.
still people who had lives and experiences way before you came along and all that stuff.
Right.
And it's easy as a child to get caught up in that. And the older I get, man, shout out to all the parents out there because just as an adult now, I'm like, how did y'all niggas do this?
Bruh.
Because my goodness, like I look around and I'm like, man, like the patience level is crazy. And Mia, to your point, she is complaining because she thought she was getting out of that life. She really thought she was on her way out of that, and now she's here with the thin ass walls and the neighbors arguing. And after just being in, these nice hotels in LA,
A nice
man, I
hotel.
really thought. Hey, thank you, thanks for the correction. A nice hotel in LA. I thought this was behind me, and here we are. And I got to find out from square one, from scratch, pretty much how to get back.
For sure. And just to come back to that, it's a hell of a thing where you have this one nice experience and you find yourself back at square one, but that square one really feels like ground zero because all in the 5 episodes prior in all of season 1, we never heard the neighbors knocking. We never heard outside noise while they were in Mia's apartment, but it just I think that Kid Fury and the producers, East and all them, did a great job of going to show just how different that shit feels once you come back. It's like moving back
Mm-hmm.
home after you've essentially lived somewhere else. It's like, God damn, it's never sunny here.
Right.
It's loud as hell. It's always some shit. And it just blows up. The little irritations become maximum. The molehills really become mountains once you leave and come back, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, damn, this really ain't it.
Rachel, that's a hell of a pool. That's a great point that you just made. Absolutely.
Mhm.
100%, man. You don't notice those things. Real quick, before we get moving forward to the next character, unless you had more to say about Mia. Okay, then. I do want to just say RIP to Keith Jefferson, excuse me. That is the gentleman, the baller at the bar, with the
Mm.
Bluetooth in his ear saying they stuck up in here tonight. He passed away this year.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And if you obviously he's a small character here, but if anybody watched The Burial, he was in The Burial. Um, he was in a couple. You didn't watch The Burial with Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones?
Oh, yes, I did just watch that on
Yeah, he
Amazon.
was in there. He
Oh,
was
okay.
one of the. Yeah, he was one of the
Uh,
lawyers.
oh,
No,
he's
he
in.
was one of the lawyers.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay.
He had on the crazy suits
Got it.
for The Burial.
Got it.
He's been
Okay.
in a couple other things that you might recognize him from, but I just happened to see that he passed away this year. So RIP to that brother.
R.I.P., sir.
Um, so how do you want to move? You want to talk about Shawna? I think Shawna might be a good place to end it.
Okay.
Or do you want to end with Duke?
Ooh. Let's go Mia's friend, since we started with Mia, into Shawna,
Okay.
into Duke. That that
All right. So I got some questions for you. I got some
listen,
questions for you, Rachel.
for sure.
Um, for one, if you are Mia
Yeah.
and you get that text message, we about from your girls, Elisa and Nelly, we about to pull up. Knowing what just happened and knowing the space that Shauna's in, are you sending a text back saying, "Hey, not tonight. Let's think of another time," or are you letting them pull up because that's y'all normal routine?
It's absolutely a not tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely a not tonight for me. One, you already know how these bitches are. One. So that's number one. Number two, you know that they don't even like Shawna.
Right.
Shawna is a guest in your home, staying with you, I don't know, indefinitely, or at least until the tour was scheduled to be over. Yes, it's your house. However,
Mm-hmm.
be mindful of me. Be considerate of me. Even though Shawna don't have a job, why don't y'all go out somewhere? Like, because at first I was gonna say, let them come over while Shauna's at work, but she don't have no job.
Right. 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 Right.
Tired. But why can't you take them away and say, no, y'all, maybe not in the house, but let's go somewhere. Even though that will leave Shawna at home alone, but you know that their energy and her energy just really does not gel anyways. And then you take on trauma. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that that was high key fucked up.
It was really fucked up. Also, once again, dark sense of humor. It's funny, but it ain't.
Hmm.
Um, to quote The Wood, one of my favorite movies of all time, life is funny. You just don't want to laugh when it's you.
Yeah, for sure.
There are always those funny moments like, oh, y'all wilding. But and even then, funny is not even always just hysterical funny. It's just, oh, y'all wilding. Like I'm
Yeah.
more astonished that y'all taking it there
Hmm.
versus anything. They did a good job of the mirror because in 1 second they make you laugh because people like that. That's
Yeah,
another thing we
for
have to
sure.
implement. Everybody knows somebody who's gonna joke. I'm gonna crack these jokes. I'm
Hmm.
gonna say what I feel. I don't care how inappropriate it is. Like you said, I don't really like you like that. It just
Yeah.
kind of is what it is. Knowing good and damn well if the roles were flipped, they'd be ready to fight somebody for cracking jokes like that. If
That
Shauna said something like that to her when she was going through it, she would have thrown a glass. It'd
it
have
would be
gotten into
up,
some real,
for
it'd have been
sure.
some real love and hip hop shit. You feel
For
me?
sure.
The show taking it from there to showing us Shauna having what I perceive to be a panic attack
Hmm.
in that mirror snaps you right back into reality. Like, oh, this is fucked up. Like this woman just saw somebody that she's admired
Hmm.
and got close to, even if it was for a short span of time, light himself on fire. And she was right there. She being at the party by itself was enough, right? Seeing that, but being in the room and feeling like you might have caused it and questioning, as we saw her earlier saying, I wish I could have done more. And Mia having to tell her, no, you can't look at it like that. Putting all of that back into perspective, like, yo, this is fucked up. Like, chill. And I wish, and I get it. I'm not blaming Mia, but I wish Mia would have stood on business a little bit more. Like, hey, y'all got to chill out. Like, y'all, fuck, nah. I ain't bring y'all over for this. Like, I know it's jokes. Y'all talking about calling them burner boy, and I'm gonna quit roasting them. Like, that shit's silly.
Silly, silly as fuck.
But at the same time, like, that's enough, man. She really
Yeah.
fucked up, and maybe I need to tell y'all, hey, chill out real quick because she was there when it happened and she's still fucked up about it. I know we joke like that, but out of respect, I know y'all ain't got to, but if y'all gonna get y'all jokes off, let's do this another night.
And here's the thing: given their relationship, I fully believe that Mia shared with Nelly and Alicia that Shauna was fucking with that nigga. Like, I'm sure they have the full story at this point as to what happened. So that
Mm-hmm.
as for me, insult to injury, this is extra salt on the wound. And again, y'all might play like that. I love dark humor.
I love
In,
it.
in the context of the people who I know love dark humor. I
Mm-hmm.
know that I can't play those games or tell some of those same jokes with people who are a bit more sensitive or people who don't find shit like that funny.
Right.
Um, I'll never forget. we were in Puerto Rico, me, John Paul, and Ashley, and it was just something really, really random. And we were just talking about people being unalive. And we are cracking up, and you could see the other people that we were with very uncomfortable. It was like, oh,
Mm. Yeah.
we play like that.
Right.
Everybody gonna play. Name one nigga in the hood you know play like that. Everybody don't play like that, and it's not funny, especially if that's not your sense of humor. Even more so if you are not directly involved in a traumatic ass experience. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
life changing.
Nah, no, you're right. You're right. You got to know where your tribe is and who you can say that to, and not. Every group chat has a side group chat. Let's put
Oh,
it
for
like that.
sure. Every
Let's put it like that.
for sure.
It's funny. You just brought out a Friday quote, because I had a Friday quote as well. When Shawna's talking about her roommate written in her room, I thought it was Big Worm. Like, what the fuck that got to do with me? I don't give a fuck about none of that. Like, nigga, I'm not about to be looking for somewhere to stay because you rented my room out. You got to figure that shit out. She's sleeping in your room and you go find somewhere to stay. Like, I'm not going for it. But we know that's on brand for Shawna. They was really going in on Lord AK, man.
They were going in. They caught that man. You already said burner boy. They was roasting.
He real burnt for that.
Real burnt for that. Like,
yeah, and they even threw in a shot. God don't like ugly. You see what happened to Kevin Samuels. Like, they was within the show. It's funny and relatable because these people exist. It's not out there. Like, they exist. These conversations happen all the time. Like,
absolutely.
Go to Twitter. Shit.
Absolutely.
There's a walking example.
For sure.
Yeah,
Because I think he did a really, really good job of bringing real life to the silver screen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no matter how fucked up it is, or you think it is, because the world isn't just this place you built in your head. There's some other shit out there. There's some shit you don't fuck with, and people that might be you have to share space with, that it can get murky. Figure it out.
Absolutely.
Figure it out.
So Shawna, she seeks refuge. She leaves, as anybody with sense would, because this is no longer a comfortable place to me. I don't really want to be around with y'all. So she seeks refuge. She doesn't go home to her parents' house. She goes to Maurice, which I understand why, because again, they had a great relationship pre-arrestation. But given the nature of what we know, it wasn't necessarily the right move. Like, stay away from this nigga.
Are you speaking from the perspective that we know that Maurice is recording her and trying to get her caught up? Yeah, but I was just gonna say, this just solidifies everything that I thought. This is all the brainchild of Stanley. Like, Maurice fucks with Shawna heavy. Because there's no way I'm opening that door, having an extended conversation, unless I am recording you. And I guess that's the best way to say it. Not once did I think he had a secret recorder going on, and that's why he let her in. And I think it was really solidified at that hug. Listen.
Yeah.
Everybody knows those hugs.
For sure.
There's a couple different styles, but that was just that genuine, I care about you, I miss you. There's something here, not even a sexual hug, just something like a good ass hug that they shared. And they were able to be in each other's arms and go right into helping him clean up and not judging him for his filthy ass dishes and all that stuff. Just that natural chemistry that they shared. And it just came right back. It came right back the whole time. And Shawna just doesn't see it. She doesn't even know that that's going on. She wouldn't even think Maurice would be on that. And I like the fact that she said it. You're the only person I can be myself around. Okay, that's her place of refuge. That's her place of comfort. And I'm curious to know what Maurice, and I'm sure we'll get it this week or this upcoming episode, how Maurice is responding to all of this. Now that Shawna's left, she knows about you recording the conversation because Stanley came in on some sucker shit. Is he going to try to fight back and say, look, it ain't like that. Like, yes, I did do this, but it wasn't because of this. Like, I fuck with you. I'm never going to try to get you caught up. I don't know. I'm curious to know if it's how much of this is I really care about Shawna versus I'm going to take care of myself first.
Well, I don't know. I
Yeah.
believe that the recording was Stanley's brainchild. I do think that. But for me, that's no different than Duke telling Shawna to be smart, to
Mm,
gather as much information as she can, to make sure
mm,
that she is ahead of the curve. The only difference is that Duke isn't involved. Stanley is. Stanley's covering his own ass and actively trying to implicate Shawna to keep himself out of trouble. He's already said, even if Maurice go down, it's better him than me. Stanley
yeah.
is only covering his ass at the expense of his own blood, and he don't give a fuck about Shawna. So it is what it
Right.
is. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's the only place for me where it's a little different. And Maurice, again, you didn't have to record every conversation, because I'm sure maybe if you didn't when Stanley was around, but you were still recording even when he wasn't. So
Hmm.
yes, this Shawna coming over and y'all sharing this good ass day and a meal, we know that you really fuck with her, but also he was in a place too where it's like, fuck it, I gotta protect myself, because he feels like nobody else is looking out for me.
Right. Right. And that's, you know what, that's very easy to say. Like, if you're Maurice, that shouldn't be an issue to say to Shawna. Yes,
Hmm.
I did that shit because you know what? Shit been fucked up between us. I ain't seen you. Yeah, you came and this was nice. Um, I'm glad to see that we still have that, but also I'm looking at some time, like some real shit.
Yeah.
I gotta
And the
know
only
what's
one.
going on. I'm the only one, and
Mhm,
I've never had this happen. It only happened when you were involved in it, and they
mhm.
questioning you. I don't know what was said. You can have that combo. Like, I'm looking out for me right now. If it ain't like this, then you got to show me it ain't like this.
Yeah,
And it's as
for
simple as
sure.
that. That was a great callback though. When you
Mhm.
talked about how Duke gave that same advice, you're right, and that can, whether Shauna admits it or not, if he had that combo with her, that's the first thing that might resonate with her.
Yep.
Like, we all spend it for ourselves because
That's
nobody wants to go to jail. At the end of
that's
the day, I don't care who you are, nobody wants to go to jail. If there's a
mhm,
way to get out, you're gonna take that way.
that part.
You know
I
what I
like
mean?
um I like that he confronted Stanley like, nigga, I heard you too.
And that debunked my theory that maybe Maurice had a whole plan for all of this, because you don't use that card if you don't, like if you do. So he
Yeah.
didn't have a plan. He wants him to know, I'm on notice. Like, I heard you
Mhm.
talking.
Yeah.
Um, you ain't looking out for me like you say you are.
Mhm.
And we know, I think we know as viewers that Shauna's not gonna give up Maurice.
That part. That
So
part.
that's what
We
makes it even more frustrating.
Mhm. I think that Shauna, she said it that she's not going to give up Maurice.
Yeah.
Because that again is giving up herself. You know what I'm saying? So I think that she is trying to protect him and her. But Stanley does not give a fuck about none of that. Stanley's only concern is him. And
Hmm.
it was such a hater move to throw that. You know, he's recording y'all conversations. Even though Shauna needed to know,
Yeah. That
bruh.
was on brand for Stanley. That's on brand for Stanley. And it makes sense for him to do that.
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah.
happy? Y'all cute? Y'all dancing and shit, talking about choreography?
Mhm.
Like Angie, yeah, like Angie said, boom. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I'm about to fuck all this up. Because this and Stanley is to my advantage if y'all are arguing, if y'all are
Mhm.
fighting,
Mhm.
if y'all are separate.
I can manipulate you. If
Or
everybody's fending for themselves, everybody's fending for themselves. If y'all are a force, if y'all are together, that puts me on the outs. Not a good
mhm,
look.
yeah. And the fact that you're mad at him, maybe it does push you to, well, no, because if you're mad at him, you're gonna be mad at me too. So if you're gonna tell him Maurice, you're definitely gonna tell on me.
For sure.
In regards to, if I'm Stanley, that's probably what I'm thinking. So
Mhm.
that was some suck shit. And
Sucks.
don't come in my crib on that. Like, calm down. I get it, but calm down.
And
But yeah, go ahead.
nigga got a key.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, y'all don't live together.
Y'all don't live together.
And
So
he wasn't expecting you from what I could tell.
exactly. Or
Um,
y'all didn't lock the door? Like, what's going on?
yeah, even if I got a key, I'm just to say, even if I got a key, I'm knocking first. I'm calling first. Like
Right.
that key is for emergency only. It's not
Right.
just um, Kramer. You know, I ain't on my come and go shit. Like I'm not just about to be
Right.
chilling in your spot all day. But yeah, I don't know, man. I want to see how this plays out with this whole suit. If this is going to be something that carries over, not suit, but charge, just going to carry over into season 3, because their comfort level and their chemistry, it needs to be explored in a romantic way, in my opinion. Just
Right.
that comfort of, can I sleep here? With the response of, I'll get you something to wear. Like
Mm-hmm.
those small, intimate moments, you don't get those special moments with a ton of people where you both are on the same page and you both feel that.
Shawna and Maurice have better chemistry than I can't remember her ex-boyfriend's name from season 1.
Oh yeah,
But
man.
way better chemistry. The better
I don't know.
sex scenes, um, just a different understanding of each other. I always felt like the ex, I hate that I can't remember his name.
I want to say like it's Kevin, but I could be wrong.
No, it's not Kevin. Oh, is it? I don't know.
I could be wrong. Let's
We'll
see.
figure
We're
it
gonna
out.
look it up.
But I always felt like he was looking at her with a seat from a seat of judgment. And a little
Cliff.
bit Cliff, yes.
Yeah, Cliff.
Cliff was looking at her from a seat of judgment and resentment. Like, I'm judging you, you dropped out of school. I resent you because you didn't move up here. You're not doing or being who I thought you were. You back on this rap shit. Like, whereas Maurice always just like, oh no, you cool. That's what's up. You rap. That's what's up. He
Mm-hmm.
just more interested in who Shawna is or was as a person, whereas it felt like Cliff was holding on to this idea of Shawna that he
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't live up to, and she's not that person. So I really hope that I don't want them niggas to go to jail.
It's crazy. We were just shout out to Good Earners, the Sopranos podcast. We were just recording and had that conversation about how hard it is to when somebody is trying to live through your potential
Mm-hmm. Mm,
versus who you are, like you said. Like
yes,
I'm good with being with you as long as you're fitting into the idea of what I think you should be
absolutely.
versus who you actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big difference. And Shauna realized that, and that's why the chemistry so much better. And to be at that point in your life and to really say, out of all the people that I know and communicate with, family, friends, etc., you're the only person I can be myself with.
Crazy.
Last week we just had the conversation about being characters
Mm-hmm.
and just putting on this front every day about, this is the persona I need to carry with me today. There's nothing like having that person or people, if you're blessed, that you can be like, just let your hair down. Like, this is me. I don't got to do none of this shit. Like, I'm going to say my dark humor. I'm going to do everything else because this is who I am. And I know I'm not going to get judged for it. So it's really something to appreciate. And I want to see them explore it, but they got to get through this shit.
Absolutely.
They got to get through this shit.
Absolutely.
Also, just the last thing I want to say, I just love the moment when Shauna comes back and Mia just kind of hugs up on her. That's just, especially where we started this season.
Yeah.
We in the trenches together. Like, we were at the top together for a quick second, or on our way, should I say.
Yeah.
And now we had that U-turn. Now we back home. And I just want you to know I got you. You ain't got to talk about it, but I'm here. I thought that was really dope.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. A redeeming moment for Shawna. I mean, for Mia.
For sure. For sure. For sure, man. So I guess we want to get into the Duke.
We at the Duke. So again, we said it at the top of the show. Life keeps rolling, things keep happening, and shit has not been running smoothly in the Duke's absence.
Nah.
Deja
Nah.
gets rested. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, more than anyone, Duke is the one that had the most to lose by going tour.
For sure.
You can't leave your life when you're criminal or you're involved in criminal activity.
Yeah.
Illegal activity. It just doesn't work like that. You can't be going and let somebody hold. Nothing will be the same. Somebody will be on their Avon Barksdale shit and come and take their corners.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So I just thought that was good highlight of my nigga. I'm a pimp. I'm out here pimping. Like I ain't got no time. But shit get fucked up. You don't even know who to call when I'm going.
Yeah.
Who you supposed to pay off, what areas to avoid, all that shit that I do like the back of my hand. We met Duke on some hustling networking shit when she was in the hotel. That's just what she does.
Yeah. But here's the thing. They did know what to do.
Ah, you're right. You're right. Good point.
They did know. Niggas
Right.
be doing what the fuck they want to do.
Absolutely right.
The groundwork was laid. Instructions were given. And then the white girl, I can't remember her name, or I don't even know if we know. I know we know Deja's name, but I don't know if we know the white girl's name. But nigga, she told you who had to be paid off, what the instruction was. So if she know the worker, you who's left in charge, you begged to run the shit while Duke was gone. This is what you wanted. You had to know. But again, motherfuckers think that they too big, you too high and mighty, little taste of power. You ain't gotta listen. You do what you want to do. You run shit how you want to run shit. Now, niggas is in jail.
Yeah.
The block is hot. And I lost my fucking, I don't want to not corner my hotel.
Yeah, lost your whole strip. Your Biscayne, all that gone. Your income is gone. Your safe haven, my normal block.
So now what?
And it's funny when I say this all the time, man. Mr. James Brown, man, being in the front of the room. It's not for everybody, and the thing is, not everybody realizes that it's not for them. It's easy to look at somebody and say, "Oh, I can do that," until you up there. You know, like one of my favorite sitcom of all time, Martin. There's an episode when Martin or Gina goes on the radio with them, and they a little hit. People hyping Gina up like, "Yeah, you can do this," and Martin steps out on some. All right, you think you can do this? Let me step out and see how you handle it. And she folded. Perfect example of what we got going on with Deja, and that's Peaches. I think that's the white girl name, Peaches.
Okay.
But either way, this is how I make a living. Like I have to. It's one thing when you have to go meet with somebody and apologize, like we talk about me and Lamont or something, and I have to rectify in that way. Like no, now I have to really get on some criminal shit. I got to get the ski mask out. I got to put the goals in. I got to get my gun waving, and I got to really kick indoors.
Yep.
Like there's an element of risk, life or death risk that I take every single day. I can't afford for you to fuck that up. Which goes back to what I said at the beginning. You can't really afford to go on vacation or go on tour because this is life or death shit. Me and Shawna ain't dealing with life or death. We might be dealing with some freedom shit. I don't want to go to jail.
Right.
But I ain't nobody coming to kind of get me or fuck with my finances because I have to do. I can't just, Chastity can't just let this shit slide and go find another corner. Like, this is how we eat. I'm fucked up out here. And obviously she's having the dilemma, as we'll get into it, just I need to decide if I'm in or I'm out.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I can be a manager and properly do all this shit if I'm still doing this type of activity.
Right.
So yeah, man.
And Shawna has made that throughout. Like you can't be pimping and be our manager.
Right. You can't do that. I just quick side note. When old girl got brought in, she went to jail, and Deja was explaining what happened, and said she was drunk and giggling like a crackhead. Giggling like a crackhead for some reason just cracked me up. I don't know why. That was just a funny line. Giggling like a crackhead is hilarious. We know that quickly doesn't go unanswered because Bugs gets his get back.
Bruh.
I mean, go ahead.
This is how you get your lick back. Well, Duke got her lick back in the end. The ultimate lick back. But again, consequences and repercussions. You left, I took your block. That's what's up. You came back and took it back. And I know we don't really get into sexism and this, that, and the third, but Chastity is still a
Mm-hmm.
woman, despite
Mm-hmm.
being the Duke. She is still Chastity.
Mm-hmm.
And these grown men
Whooping her ass.
was kicking her ass like she was a nigga off the street.
Mm-hmm.
Where as to which in the game, where the game is the game, you're nothing but another nigga on the street.
Right.
And this is a full representation of that. I don't owe you shit. I'm not. And pimps have a history of hitting women. So we know that they had no qualms about that. But the level of ass kicking that was happening, he didn't just
Mm-hmm.
slap her around. He was beating her ass like she was a nigga.
Knock teeth out.
Not teeth out. And Jonica Duke Chastity had beautiful teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Nigga.
Fucked her up. Whooping her ass. Also, let me say this. You make a great point. That is the game.
Mm-hmm.
Man, woman, none of that shit matters when you in this. If you if you,
Mm-hmm.
you know what this life is about. However, I think that sexism has a lot to do with how Bugs handled that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if Duke is a man,
Mm-hmm.
you don't leave Duke alive to come back.
Yeah.
Carlito's way. Benny Blanco from the
Mm-hmm.
Benny Blanco from the Bronx. You don't leave people like that around to come back because they will come get their get back.
Yeah.
You know who Duke is connected to. You know who her uncle is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you thought was gonna happen, but that's something to keep in mind, Bugs. I really believe if that was a nigga,
You would have
he would have
unalived.
left her. He would, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
But then,
Because then he would have felt threatened. I don't think he felt threatened by Duke.
but also, you have to kill Duke if she's a man in that situation. But then you have to kill all the girls too. Because now these are all witnesses to a murder. And yes, you can maybe be under the guise of what they prostitutes or sex workers. They're not willingly going to the police with some shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe so, because this is a murder. But my question is, we saw um Bugs's posture change when Uncle Calvin pressed him.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it was very much, oh yeah, no, no, very apologetic,
Mm-hmm.
very little dog.
Mm-hmm.
If Uncle Calvin is the big dog and niggas revere him, niggas fear him, they know who he is, he's the OG. I understand you got to get your block back. We have to rectify our situation, but I'm confused for you, Bugs, is if again you said you know who I'm connected to, you know who I'm up under, my blood relative, and this is how you come back to it. I would think if you have as much deference as you appear to have in his face, why is why was whooping my ass like that the repercussion, like, or the reaction to me rating your shit? Like, I think that if you scared of my uncle,
Mm-hmm.
then we have a conversation, then we figure some shit out, we split the hotel, like, okay bitch, you was gone, I don't and I'm not a pimp.
Right, 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 right.
Oh no, I talk a lot of shit, but I ain't in the life, okay? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know why that particular cage bird sings, but I'm curious as to how that goes down. And yeah, ego is a hell of a thing. And again, that's what I'm talking about. We don't talk about sexism too much, but you whooped her ass because she was a woman and you didn't give a fuck. Yes, you say, and I do believe that if there was a man, like, you might unalive them, but you had to have felt like,
Uncle, he would have felt that Uncle's coming back for this. Like, Uncle ain't gonna let this shit slide,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You 100. So you're 100% right. Here's what I think that Bugs was thinking. we'll take it back to the game. It's hard for us to look at it because we aren't in that life, like you said, Rachel.
Yeah.
We're civilians, we're citizens, we pay taxes and shit. When you're in that world, there are repercussions, and I think you tried to say that to Uncle Calvin, like, this is what it. I mean, regardless of, I know she connected to you, which is why I spared her life.
Yeah.
I wanted to let her know that what she did ain't cool. She came and fucked up my whole block. Like you said, I got this shit fair and square. When I took the block over, nobody came to me saying, nah, this is being ran for Duke. Like, this was my shit. So I had to set an example. But on Bugs's, his to his downfall, he's not smart enough to see the big picture. When you make a move like that, and I know that you're connected, and you're not just connected, you're connected to that nigga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We see in the scene that Duke and Uncle Calvin had that he's one of them ones. Like, he don't play about this shit. He real about his business. Once I make a decision to beat Duke ass, now it's fuck everybody. I'm not even out here in the open like this unprotected. I got enough respect to know that you're going to be looking for me.
That part.
I got people on each end of the corner. It's going to be hard to get to me. And if you do, it's on some, we can have a conversation out of respect, but fuck you. Or we can figure out a way to really settle this and keep moving forward. That's what Bug should have been on. Uncle Calvin should have never been able to pull up on that nigga like that.
That part.
Because you had to know, like, it's almost like you can't feel bad for him because you had to know this shit wasn't going to go unanswered. Like I just said, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. You know this nigga's coming back. You know it. Like, it just doesn't make sense if you Bugs and you just let shit slide like that.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
If it's going to be fuck Duke, it's got to be fuck Uncle Calvin too, nigga. I'm pulling my pistols out too. Like, you should never be caught off guard when that nigga pulls up. You should, matter of fact, you should be expecting him to be reaching out and trying to get in touch with you.
That part. So it just was crazy to me. And I mean, the game is the game. We've said it multiple times, but clearly Uncle Calvin is big dog. Even if Bugs wasn't afraid of him, or if he too feels like he's a big dog, you could tell just in the level of humility that he automatically somehow found when he got stepped to. Like, nigga, if you really him and you have no qualms about kicking ass the way that you did my niece at that, my nephew, my niece at that, nigga, you better be ready. And clearly Bugs' ass was not ready. And this is what I kind of want to shift to. For as much as we see Duke to be a hustler, we see that she ain't afraid to scrap. We know that. We see her do that. In season 1, with the episode where she and the girls are riding around and they end up missing the club or not being able to get in, and Shawna's with the dog, they off to Molly, she kicking ass to somebody who I believe was Bugs then too. Duke is not afraid of a fair-ish fight,
Right.
But on some sneak shit, I'm not scared to hustle, this, and the third. But a killer, I am not.
Right.
I'm different, but I ain't that different. I'm stoic, but I ain't stone cold. Nigga. Duke did not want Uncle Calvin to kill that nigga because I don't want this on my conscience. As much as I don't care about pimping some hoes, whatever, I can run up in a nigga jaw. I can steal. I don't what Ezell say, speaking of Friday, I steal, I don't kill.
I don't kill.
That was Duke,
That's exactly what she was on. Rachel, you tweeted this maybe within the past 2 weeks. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was just a random tweet, and I got weak. I never even said anything to you. Let me out, though.
I said it the other day.
Yeah, don't let me out. Let me out, though. That's exactly what it was. It's that moment when you realize that, yes, I got everything else in me to get by in this game. But I just witnessed that you got to be all the way in with this shit to survive, or you can end up like Bugs. Bugs wasn't all the way in. Bugs, either you missing that killer part of you, which he was, because somebody steps to you like that, you got to get rid of them because they're coming back. You missing the smart part of you. I got everything but that urge to take a life. And I don't want to. Like you said, I don't want to live with that. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Uncle Calvin said it, man. He so nonchalantly was about it. He's a gangster. Like I said, he stands on that. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I do. He so casually said, like, I ain't killed a nigga since '03, and here you come fucking up my street.
You done broke my
Like, he
street.
knew it had to. There was no Sophie's choice moment or moral compass telling him, oh man, is there another way to do this? No, I'm picking up my gun. I'm about to show you how you get respect.
He knew it
This
had to.
nigga got to go tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, that's the decision. That's part of the life. I'm
Mhm.
compartmentalize that. I don't even have any kind of emotion or feeling about it. I know I'm doing that because this is the game that I'm in and this is what I have to do to survive.
Yeah, for sure.
That's that moment that Duke is going to have where, all right, I got to make this manager shit pop. I can't do this pimp shit.
Because I'm not built for that.
I'm not built for that. Like, I'm not just built on some walking up on a nigga in his bands and just rocking them. Like, it's just, I can't do it. And you know what? A large amount of people aren't.
For sure. For sure.
So, yeah. I think that's going to lead directly into what we see from Duke. I do think she makes a complete pivot, a full 180, and just says, you know what, Deja, if this is what you want, you got it. Have a meeting with the girl, say, look, I'm all in. This is where my time is going. Figure out another way. Duke is a hustler. She can figure out a way to make money. So I don't have any concern about that. I don't know if all of Wap Dad's money is going. I'm assuming it probably is. I don't think she took a crazy amount, maybe a few thousand, enough to get the hotel, enough to make a couple other moves. But, 10,000 ain't it doesn't take a lot to burn through it.
Right. But she took that jewelry too.
Good point. Yeah, so she might have a little something.
She might got a little something.
Yeah, she might have a little something. So I think that's really it. That's all I had on my notes as far as this episode goes. Did you have anything else?
I don't. I'm excited for next week.
We got 2 weeks. Next week is going to be it. I'm penultimate episodes. Everything that I've known about Issa Rae and just how television in general works. I'm sure we're in for a doozy this upcoming week. So with that being said, Rachel,
Rich,
always a pleasure.
Always
a pleasure, man. Another great conversation. I appreciate you. I love you.
I love
you.
To
everybody out, I feel that, man. To everybody out there listening, to everybody out there watching, thank you. We appreciate y'all. We got 2 more episodes coming for you. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Anybody you know who's watching Rap Shit and wants to join into the conversation, more than welcome to hit us up. Rachel and myself, if you want to catch us on other podcasts that we host, check the link tree, check in the episode description. We'll have all that information there. With that being said, y'all be cool. How y'all be cool?
Peace out. Bye, guys.
Peace.